All right, guys, I am getting ready to cut the front canopy here. Got it out in my carport where I can not have to worry about the dust. So we are getting ready here to cut the holes for my fender vents. What's going on, YouTube fam? My name is Dan Dulac and welcome back to my channel where I am building a V10 powered Ultimate Evolution convertible. It has been a minute since my last video. I know I've been teasing you guys on my communities post on my YouTube page with a couple of teaser pics here and there. Finally get a chance to put a video together. Actually, a couple of videos are gonna come pretty short order. This one and one coming very, very soon. I've already got all the footage. I just got to get in front of the computer and produce the dang thing. And we will be off and running with 2 videos here in very short order. If you missed any of the previous episodes, be sure to go check those out. This is episode number 54. And we're going to spend a lot of time on the front clam, the bodywork. We're going to get the lights prepared, the headlights installed, the plexiglass headlight covers installed, the underside painted. We're gonna cut the holes for the wing vents. That's something I've been dreading, but we're gonna do that in this episode as well. And then a few other nicks and knacks I'll update you on as well. Still working on that transmission. I've got some great updates coming with that. That will come in the next episode. A lot more to come on this one, but I just wanted to mention that. A couple of quick episodes coming. And without further ado, let's just jump right into it. I've got the windshield wiper mounted. I did that off camera. I've got it in its center parking position. That's how it came from the factory. I considered putting it over towards the passenger side as its parking position, but I kind of like the racy look of the center position. So we'll leave that there as now. And I also mounted the seats and the seat belts. So they are all in place. Looks fantastic. I've got the center console in there as well. So you can see the center console with my Motec rotary controller, park reverse drive. Once I get the transmission working and wired up, that's how that'll work. So the interior of this is really, really starting to come together. I'm gonna leave kind of the finish carpeting work. I am gonna do Alcantara on the side pods and then carpet on the floor. But I'm gonna leave that for now and focus my attention on getting the rest of this bodywork done. And then of course, getting this dang transmission figured out so we can drive it. I have got the front clamshell sitting over here upside down because I am getting ready to install all the lights. There's a bucket that goes over the back to seal it up. Then what I'm gonna have to do once the weather is a little bit warmer here in the next week or two is spray the underside with just some black urethane just to clean it up so you don't see any of these fiberglass seams or anything. And that will clean up the underside just nicely. Now here's what I'm thinking. So here's the box of lights. This here is pair, low beams and high beams right there. And notice the stainless steel ring. So these come, this is how it comes from the factory. And what I think I'm gonna do is actually powder coat those rings in satin black, or maybe even gloss black, just to blend in with the carbon fiber bucket a little bit better. So I figured out how to remove them. Here's one of the rings right here. Comes off pretty easily. It's just held on with some silicone and some foam tape. So I'll show you in a minute how I get these off, but I'm gonna powder coat these gloss black. What I'm gonna do first is disassemble them all. There's a few of these in the kit. So we're gonna disassemble those. And again, I think because of the carbon buckets that we have here, gloss black, I think will look really nice. That's what we're gonna do first, and then we're gonna get to installing all the lights in this thing. All right, here is one of the daytime running lights. You can see there, and I've already removed the ring off this one. It just comes off. But what you can see is there's some silicone, a couple dabs of it on this. That's what holds it together largely, but there is a piece of foam tape that goes around the perimeter here that I am gonna reapply. I pulled it off because I tore it when I disassembled this thing. But that's how those come apart. So we're gonna take apart the other DRL, both sets of headlights and the turn signal as well. So that is how that works. So let's get to disassembling the rest of these rings off the remaining lights. All right, I've got my front clam mounted here off the car, just sitting here, and as you can see, I've got it masked up both sides. I am getting ready to cut the holes for the wing vents, or fender vents, as my US friends call them. So these are the carbon fiber vents off the RS model. Of course, my car is the Evo model, but the shape and curvature, complex curves in there, are the exact same as on the Evo fender. So it's gonna work great. So I got some measurements here. Again, thank you to my friends at the factory. Sent some measurements over so I could at least place this, know where to place this. And then I used a little curvature tool to check the contour. So that's this right here. Pick this up off of Amazon. You can set the compound curves. And what I did was, over here on the fender, once I got it where I thought it would be placed, I'm simply putting this right here, and you can see the fitment. And the fitment is perfect. So that's the front edge. That's the front edge here of the carbon vent. So take the template of this, and then once I've got it all marked out, I simply come over here and check it. And that is gonna be perfect. So it's just peace of mind that where the hole is where it needs to be, again, to fit the complex or compound curves that are in this wing vent. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut the holes. So I'm going to cut on this inside tape edge all the way around. And that will allow me to drop this into place, make a hole to drop it into place. And then I will trace the outer edge along the fender and then carefully trim down, make a recess in the fiberglass. So in the RS models, in the mold, there's already a recess in the bodywork. Obviously not in this case. So I'm gonna first cut the hole and then kind of where this tape is here, create a recess. And it only has to come down, gosh, maybe a mil and a half. In fact, let me measure that. Let's measure this wing vent. And about 2 millimeter. So that's all I need, and the thickness of this gel coat and fiberglass is more than 2 mil. I think it's probably like, gosh, 5 mil or so, at least. And then I might reinforce it underneath after, but that's what I'm gonna do. Just create a recess where this tape is, and then fit that vent in, and be very, very careful. This is one of those pucker moments when you start cutting into a big piece of bodywork like this. And again, the good news, it's fiberglass. At the end of the day, if you screw it up, refiberglass it. Nothing that some additional fiberglass and paint can't fix, but obviously I'm gonna try to avoid that and do it right the first time. All right, guys, I am getting ready to cut the front canopy here. Got it out in my carport where I can not have to worry about the dust. I'm gonna use my Dremel tool here and get those things cut. We're gonna get after it. Let's do it. All right, here goes nothing. No turning back now. All right, we've got all the major sides cut here, and I'm just gonna finish up the corners, pop this out, then we'll be good to test fit the vent, and then we'll do the other side as well. All right, I've got this first hole cut. We've got it here, we've got it fitted. So far, so good. And I think I'm gonna change my mind on the recess, on kind of sanding out a recess for the grill or the fender vent to sit down into. So let me show you what I got and we'll talk about it. All right, here is the vent in place. You can see the hole there. Sanded it all out, sanded the edges smooth. This sits in there really nice. The edges sit flush there, so it's in a perfect location. And what I'm thinking now is, rather than tracing a line here and then sanding out a recess kind of where that tape is so that the top of this will sit flush with the front clam here, I think I'm just gonna make it sit right on top, just like that. I'm really worried about making a nice straight line to make that recess, and if I mess it up at all, it's gonna be noticeable. So I think I'm just gonna epoxy some studs on the back side of this, drill some holes where the tape lines are, make this removable so that when I do the vinyl wrap, it's easy to remove these and put the wrap on. But this just sits on top. It really is nice and thin. So just sitting on top, I think, is gonna be fine. So kind of changing my mind there, and I think that is just gonna look great. After all, this is an Evo, not an RS. Anyway, let's get to cutting the other side.
Few moments later.
right, I've got this front clam turned upside down and all masked off, ready for some polyurethane paint. Masked off the headlight buckets, all the openings, because what I am going to try and do is paint the grinded edges of the fiberglass as well. So we'll get that all cleaned up, a little attention to detail here, but it is ready for some paint. So let's get to spraying some polyurethane. So here's what I use. This is just some Eastwood chassis black I had sitting on the shelf. And that seems to work great. Good coverage. Now I'm gonna take the masking off and let this thing dry a bit, and we're good to go. All right, guys, I have got the lights all powered up, wired in. Let's test them out. All right, parking lights, headlights, high beam. Perfect. And the DRLs, these are the DRLs, daytime running lights. Those will come on when the car's ignition is on. Let's do a directional, left. And then we'll do hazard. And you can see the side light, side marker blinking as well. Lights off, and then this is flash to pass. Yes, that is awesome. Now we are ready to install the covers. So these are the plexiglass covers that go over the headlights. So I've got the polyurethane primer ready to go. I've got to mask it out, put the primer on, make sure everything's clean, and then we'll put those in. So let's do that next. All right, I've got my headlight covers here, the Lexan or plexiglass molded covers. And you can see I've already got some masking tape using this fine line tape here. And what I did was I first put on a layer of this 3/4 inch, following the edge all the way around, and then used the inner side of this as the guide for the fine line, and then peeled this masking tape off. So what I will do is use the urethane primer here, windshield primer, and put a coat of black primer all the way around. And again, using this fine line tape, it shouldn't run or anything. It'll have a nice crisp line on the inside. And then this will be ready to mount to the car. So let me do the other one and I'll show you how I do it. And then we'll get these mounted on the front clamp. Cool, so let's get rid of masking tape, and marker tape. And we'll give it another look here. Again, I'm looking for uniformity all the way around the outside. And that looks pretty good. All right, now it's time for some primer. Okay, I've got the lights all masked up. On the top surface, you can see the covers are all masked. This one's still flipped over. That's all masked on the other side. And then I've got the buckets all masked up and ready for the urethane there. So I just blew some air in the bucket just to make sure there's no dust or pollen. It's pollen season here in New England, so not a good time to be doing this because pollen will be trapped in there forever if I don't get it out. So let's get these headlight buckets in place with the urethane. Again, I'm using the same stuff I used on the windshield, which is right here. I cut a little V-notch groove in there. So it doesn't have to be very big. The shoulder on this, quite small, and I applied the primer around this perimeter as well. So both sides are primed and we're ready to go. So let me get this thing cracked open. We'll apply it and stick these things in place. So let's get after it.